Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, and I'm Haley Twiggs, and you're listening to M3 Minutes. In this episode of M3 Minutes, you will hear from April Largent, a staff member at the Moxy in downtown Nashville. She spent her Christmas tending to guests when no one could leave or enter the hotel due to the 2020 Christmas Nashville bombing. April, we are thrilled to have you on the podcast today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is April. I am from California. I just moved here actually the end of October, and I started at the Moxy Hotel a week after the end of October as well. I've worked in hospitality for about, I want to say 4 years. I've worked my way around to being a front desk agent, a sales coordinator, front desk supervisor, and a front desk lead. And then now at the Moxy, I'm a front desk agent along with a bartender and barista.
Awesome. You're doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really, really fun.
Yeah. Is Nashville very different from California for you?
It is. I live like 40 minutes outside of Nashville, but it's really nice because I live out in the outskirts, and then I get a commute, and then it's fun to work in the downtown area. But it is very different from what I'm used to, especially weather-wise.
Yes, definitely right now with this winter storm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so the story of the Christmas 2020 bombing in Nashville, we know that you were working that day. Do you mind walking us through your day when that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started work at 6 a.m. that morning. And so how it started is usually we park a block and a half away at a parking garage. And I parked out front that day because it was cold and I'm clumsy and I would slip walking to my car because it was snowing, like somewhat snow the night before. So I started work at 6 a.m., parked out front, got in. I was doing my morning duties, where I'm starting the coffee, doing all my paperwork. And then there's no one in the lobby at all at this time. So I'm writing out the paperwork, and then all of a sudden I heard a huge bang. So at the front of the hotel, we have about 6 windows, like really big glass windows. And it went through as like a train. It was hitting one at a time, went bang, 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 bang. And then we have our double sliding doors. We have two sets of them. And then those doors swung open, and then it echoed throughout the other doors. And then one big loud bang happened. At first, I thought it was someone banging on the doors. That's what it sounded like. So I just looked over at the windows, and then once those 4 doors sprung open, I kind of just froze there because it all echoed. It echoed throughout the entire, the streets, that whole sound. And I was like, what was that?
Yeah, so sure.
I grabbed my phone, and then I ran outside, and there was only one person outside, and she was across the Johnny Cash, and she was a morning person, cleaning up or so. And we're both looking at each other, yelling, what was that? Are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I don't know what that was. And then we just stood there, and then I started seeing cop cars and fire trucks drive by, and I was like, okay, what is going on? And I called my coworker, and he's the AGM, the assistant general manager, and I called him, and I was like, hey, I don't really know why I'm calling you right now, but I just heard a really loud bang, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what that could have been. And he was like, he was still asleep, and he was like, it's thunder. And I looked up, and it wasn't even raining. And I was like, I don't know about that. But I was like, okay. And so that lady and I were just confused on what to do. And then we went back inside the hotel. I started just working around. I got a phone call right away from a guest upstairs, and he called down. He was like, what was that? And I was like, honestly, I have no idea. I was like, everything is fine here downstairs in the lobby. Nothing has been broken. I was like, everything is okay. I'm okay. Are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, that just scared me. And I was like, yeah, I'm working on trying to figure out what it was. I was like, but if you need anything, let me know. And he's like, okay. So after that had happened, I had 4 guests who were coming from the side of the building into the front doors of the hotel. And at that time, so the bomb blew open the doors, and they're sliding doors, they're automatic sliding doors. And I had to fix those, because they fell off their hinges. So I had to push it back in. I was doing that. And then these guests all come in, and one lady was very shaken up. And they were like, what was that? They knew what it was. They were saying that one guy was waking up to take a sunrise photo, and he literally saw the entire thing happen from his room. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm just trying to like figure out if I can like get to my car. Like he wanted to go check it out more. And I was like, okay. And then so the lady and the guy who was like really shaken up, she was sitting down in the lobby with another lady. And I was like, can I get you anything? I have coffee, tea, water, anything. And she was like, yeah, I'll get some coffee. So I was just like getting them coffees, talking about what happened, and just hanging out with everyone, trying to figure out what was going on. And then they said at first, when the guy who saw it, he said that an apartment building had blown up. That's what he thought he had seen. So I was kind of worried because I'm like, oh my goodness, like that's a lot of people that could have been hurt in there. And we still had no idea what it was.
Yeah. So
yeah.
when you went outside from the Moxy, there was no damage that you could see whenever you went outside to look?
There was not.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I was kind of scared because I was standing out there, and once you hear something that it was that loud and intense, I've never heard anything like that before. So I like looked outside, and I kind of got like, what if like right now like a gust of smoke is just gonna like blow or something? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get inside, and then was continuing on with my shift after that.
Absolutely. Were you scared that you thought could be another bombing, or something else happen? A lot of times people are a little on edge when one bombing happens that another one will take place shortly after. Did you have those thoughts in your head?
I actually didn't have that thought until like later on, thinking about how of a thing this could have been, because once the news we turned on the news and like you see like what actually was happening, then I was like, oh my gosh, like this could happen like more and we don't even know. But I mainly thought that because throughout my shift, all the people were coming down the hotel. I had officers I was trying to get in contact with on the streets, because I want to say like 30 to 45 minutes later, an officer came up and he parked right in front of the hotel and he blocked the street off. And I asked him, and he's like, honestly, we have no idea what that was. We are from, he said, South Nashville. We just headed right up here just to block off the roads and help out. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, no one's going to be allowed to leave the hotel. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I have a lot of guests checking out of this hotel. What do you mean they're not going to be able to leave? And he's like, well, because the garage is right where it happened. So our parking garage is right off Commerce, and it was a block over, but they weren't. It was one of our parking garages that we parked our cars and did get damaged. So it was both of them, but he was saying no one was allowed in or out of those garages. So I was like, okay. So he told me no one can leave the hotel, like go outside, walk around, and do anything. So I had to keep all the guests inside the hotel. So at that time later on, guests were coming down and hanging out. And I just kept it as normal as possible as I could. I started hanging out with everyone. like it was more so because I worked the night before as well, so I knew a lot of the people from the bar, so it was nice to build a good relationship with everyone. But once I like turned on the news and looked at everything, it was kind of like, oh my goodness.
For sure. And it sounds like you did a phenomenal job handling the situation. I think you handled it better than anyone else would, so I really applaud you for that. So after the dust settled from this, did you process what had happened? How did you go about wrapping your mind around that day, or have you yet?
It took me a couple days, to be honest. I did work the next day, and then I think the next day after that, and then I got a couple days off. So it took me to realize like, oh my gosh, like it really, once people started reaching out to me, and also my boss, when he posted what he did on LinkedIn, then it like started hitting like, oh my gosh, like I was there during that and I worked and like this happened. Like then it started hitting me like that I was like physically there and I like remember everything. I haven't been like scarred from it or anything like that. It's not too traumatizing for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But not only were you there, you were taking care of guests. So, that's just a step beyond. You weren't being selfish, you were being selfless in the situation. So that is very cool. So we found out about your story on LinkedIn. How does it feel to have your story highlighted on so many different platforms right now?
It's crazy. It's unreal. Yeah, I didn't know it could blow up so big that it did. I feel really appreciated about all the things people are saying about it. And also the fact that I've had like Bill Marriott and Arnie reach out. That's crazy. My boss, like it's still going through my head, like, okay, they reached out to me, like, that's pretty cool. I had my GM, he was the one who was like most excited. He's like, oh my gosh, they just reached out, this many, he always like would comment like this many reactions, this many shares, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
April, thank you for being with us today. We really appreciate it. You are a true hospitality hero. To everyone listening in to this episode of M3 Minutes, thank you, and stay tuned for our next exciting episode. Until then, stay well, hoteliers.
Thank you so much for having me.